Have you ever caught yourself scrolling through social media, feeling like you're behind or looking at someone else's success and wondering, why not me? Well, here's the truth. Comparison is a trap, and it's holding you back. In today's episode, we're diving into why we compare, how it's sabotaging our confidence, and most importantly, how to break free. Stick with us. Hey everyone, John here. 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 Welcome to the Leaders Leading Leaders podcast. Hey everyone, John here. Welcome to the Leaders Leading Leaders podcast. In this episode, we're going to talk about how comparison can be the thief of joy. Many times in our lives, we begin to compare ourselves with people who may be in a similar field that we want to go in. Maybe our neighbors, maybe somebody in our social clubs or our network that we just always see them succeeding. Everything they touch turns to gold. They have the bigger house. They're going on extravagant vacations. Why can't we do that? Why aren't we there? Why don't we ever have enough money? Do you see where I'm going here? Have you been in that boat? Why did their son or daughter get into the prestigious university? How are they getting the jobs? Why does it always seem like they get all the clients? They land all the home deals. They sell all the cars. Whatever that looks like to you. We were born to compare ourselves from a very young age. As we matured into adulthood, we begin to look around, we're very observant, and it's just natural for us to start comparing ourselves. Anybody who has competed at a high level, that may be sports, it may be on the academic level, it may be just going out in intramural clubs, or maybe a competition that you entered in, a baking competition or a chili cook-off. I was recently at a Super Bowl party and there was a chili cook-off, and talk about comparison. Everybody was comparing their chili to others, and it brought about this competitive nature. I don't want to say that all comparison is bad. That's not what I want you to take away from this episode. Where it gets negative is when we begin to compare our day one to somebody else's day 300, and we expect it to be the same. It's about repetition. Life is all about the reps that you put in. So when you are starting something, you can't compare yourself to somebody who has failed many, many times, who has maybe learned their lessons and taken those lessons and turned them into successes. It's just not going to happen for us. So for today, we're going to talk about, one, what's the comparison trap? What does that look like? Being able to recognize when we are in that trap. The second thing we're going to discuss is really understanding your unique journey and how that's important for you to embrace. And then I'm going to give you some strategies to break free from comparison. So you're going to want to listen to the end, because these are just little gold nuggets that you're going to be able to practice every day to stop you from comparing yourself to others. So let's talk first about this comparison trap. And it goes back to my earlier conversations. We naturally compare ourselves. When we see something that we want, we begin to start rationalizing with ourselves why either we can't get it or why it's too far out of our reach to achieve. That's the negative side of comparison. So when we begin to fall into the comparison trap, I want us to quickly realize, and it could be the trigger of just you saying, why does John always go on these extravagant vacations that he posts on social media? Stop right there. recognize that you just thought that or you just said that out loud. Because when we get into the tips, that's going to be an important factor. The second thing that I want to talk about, social media is a highlight reel. Most social media is a highlight reel of people's lives. Most of the time, you are going to see the successes. You're going to see those glamorous vacations. You're going to see those filtered pictures. You're going to see everything that people want others to see. Now, I'm saying that because there are some real, true, authentic social media posts that aren't glorified, that aren't filtered. So not all social media is bad. I'm on social media, trust me. But I don't spend my time comparing myself to an Ed Milet or to a Mel Robbins or a Tony Robbins or any other speaker, David Goggins out there that's been in this game, that's been podcasting, that's been on the biggest stages in the world. I want to be like them. I aspire to do what they have done, but I know better than to compare myself. So if you are scrolling through social media and it brings about these feelings of, I really don't have it as good as so-and-so, stop right there. It goes back to the saying that life is done for us, not to us. And if we are in that comparison trap, we are thinking that life is done to us, and that is not the case. We make what we want out of life. And when we're in that comparison trap, we can't get out of it. It sucked us in. We can't think outside of the next step that we need to go to achieve our dream. Those limiting beliefs begin to creep in. And that brings about the hidden costs of the comparison trap. The stress, the fatigue, and hopefully that stress and fatigue doesn't detriment our health. Because stress, it can eat away at your well-being. It can eat away at your mental aptitude. It does dangerous things to our mind and our body. So when we find ourselves in that comparison trap, I want you to do one thing: recognize it. Then we're going to talk about some other ways to get out. So as we talk about what it means to compare ourselves to others, I want you to understand something. And everybody, just take a minute to listen to this. Put down your pen if you're taking some notes. If you're working out, just pause a little bit. We are all on a unique journey. And that journey is ours and ours alone. People that have led before us or that have come before us or that have forged the way, they may have cleared the path for us, but that journey that they were on isn't our journey. Those footsteps, you may try to walk in those footsteps, but in the end, your shoe is going to be different size. Your journey, maybe your stride, is different than theirs. You're not going to go as fast, or maybe you're going to go faster. It is your uniqueness. What makes us unique is our superpower. So don't let anybody take your superpower. And when we fall into that comparison trap, that's the kryptonite. That's when we begin to doubt ourselves. So I want you to remember, each path is unique, and our uniqueness is our superpower. One other thing that I always like to coach on when I'm talking about our unique journey is to focus on progress, not perfection. No matter how well planned that you think your journey is going to be, something will go wrong. It's the bumps in the road. And even though you hit that bump and you may have to take 2 steps back, remember the next step is going to be 3 steps forward. It's the progress. It's what you've learned. It's the experience of our life. My life has been a zigzag. When I was growing up and I wanted to get into medical school, I wanted to help others. That was my output, was helping others. I just didn't realize it at the time. I thought that I needed to be a doctor in order to do that. But in the end, I had a lot of bumps along the road. And if I would have focused on perfection and failing to get into medical school, I would not be in this seat today. Instead, I chose to focus on progress. And by focusing on progress, allowed me to continue on my unique journey and get me to where I am today. And I'm still helping others. I'm just not doing it in the capacity that I thought I was going to do it in. I had a unique journey. Focus on progress and not perfection. And then last but not least, and I want you to ask yourself this question. Anytime you begin to start a path, start a new journey, start reinventing yourself, what does true success look like? Not somebody else's success. Your true success. What does that look like? In the case of my story, if I would have said true success looked like me getting into medical school, me becoming a doctor, me owning my own practice, me helping others through medicine, that was not my true success. My true success was really helping others be able to do what they wanted to do, to help them be able to go where they wanted to go, to help them realize that you have everything within yourself to be what you want to be. And for me, focusing on that true success has allowed me to diversify myself through my experiences, through the jobs that I've had, through the challenges that I've taken on or experienced in my life, to be the person that I am today. And if I would have compared myself even to my old self, I would have stopped. I would have fallen in that quicksand and I might have never gotten out. So remember, our journeys are unique. Now we're going to talk about some strategies that I want you to implement to break free from this comparison trap that we're talking about today. Because at the end of this episode, I want you to make a commitment to yourself that you are going to stop comparing yourself to others. Do that for me. Please walk away when this episode is done. Take these tips and stop comparing yourself. So let's get into some strategies to allow you to do that. The first one that I want to talk about is your focus. And back to what Tony Robbins says, one of my favorite quotes, we don't experience life, we experience the life that we focus on. So what does that mean? Focus on what you have, not what you lack. What skills, what are your strengths that you have? That's why a lot of times I don't worry about the weaknesses. I want to focus on my strengths because that's what I have. And if I build on those strengths, the weaknesses, they will subside, they will diminish, they will fall off. Because I tend to think in a very positive way. I know that about myself. Even in most dire situations, people will come around me and I let them know that I am a true optimist. I am going to focus on what I have. But I wasn't always like that. I had to condition myself. I had to practice these habits day in and day out. So focus on what you have, not what you lack. Strategy number 2, self-awareness. I talked about this in the comparison trap topic of when you begin to scroll through that social media, and you are going to do it, I promise, unless you're just non-existent on social media, or maybe it's a commercial, or maybe you talking to your neighbor and they're remodeling their kitchen, or they just put in a pool. Whatever that looks like, when you start to say, why don't we have a pool? Why can't I put a pool in my backyard? Stop. Get the self-awareness to stop that comparison. Comparison is the thief of joy. Why can't I run that fast? Why didn't I get an A in English? I never got any A's in English. I'm here to tell you. Now, for those young listeners out there, do your best and get your good grades. But I didn't compare myself to the people who were getting A's. I was an A and B student. English wasn't my strong suit, but I didn't spend my focus there. So remember, have that self-awareness. When you feel yourself starting to compare your day 1 to somebody else's day 365, they've had all those reps. They've had all those failures. You stay present in where you are at. Feel your feet underneath you and stop comparing yourself to others. Strategy number 3, remove distractions. This is something that my wife, she runs a multi-level marketing company, social networking, and one of the things that she coaches on is removing the distractions out of your social media. If your business is social media and you have haters, or sometimes it's even our closest friends and family that just don't see the vision. We have this huge moonshot vision and they haven't bought in yet. And it's not because it's negativity. It may be because they're concerned for your well-being. And we do this to our children. I've done this to my kids. I want to keep them safe. I don't want to see them fail. But guess what? They need that. They need to be able to feel that failure. So for me, remove those distractions out of the way. Make sure that you're unfollowing or just take a brief pause. If somebody's constantly commenting to you back on, why are you doing this? That doesn't work. Unfollow them. You might be losing a follower, but you are going to gain more because the focus that you have, the comparison that you're making, you don't need that negativity in your world. You will find your tribe of people that are going to be attracted to whatever message, whatever you're selling, whatever you are trying to do. Just take a brief pause. And I'm even talking about outside of the social media network, your friend group. If you're hanging around people that don't see things quite the same way as you do, or they're negative, or they're just constantly comparing themselves to others, get away from it. You don't have to not answer their phone calls or not return their texts, but just take a pause and distance yourself from them until you work towards that mental fortitude and practice these strategies to where you can be around it and it doesn't even fade you. It's like body armor. You're just bing, 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 repelling things away from you. That negativity, that comparison, that unfollow, whatever that looks like. But you have to build that up. So remove your distractions. Strategy number 4, daily wins. Daily wins, and the caveat here is measure success at your speed. Remember the path that I was talking about. Everybody has their own stride. Some strides are very big. Some strides are really short. Some strides are through sand. Some are through snow. Some are through water. Whatever that looks like, somebody's journey is at a different speed than what your journey is. When I started this podcast, I remember I had this huge vision that we were going to grow these subscribers and we were going to grow these followers and it was going to happen overnight. I'm a dreamer. That's what I do. That did not happen. But I quickly learned that I wasn't going to compare myself to somebody else's speed. My time would come. I decided that I was going to focus on the long term, not the instant gratification piece. I was going to focus on making sure that I went at my own pace. And that's where I want you to celebrate your wins. When you hit $1,000 in your bank account, in your savings account, celebrate it. Don't compare yourself to somebody who has $100,000 in their savings account. They're at different speeds. And if you are working to get to 100,000, good for you. But remember, it's going to take time. It's going to take discipline. And these strategies are all about building that muscle, that discipline, and creating habits. So to recap today, we talked about the comparison trap. Don't let yourself fall in that comparison trap. Stay competitive, stay hungry out there, Go Be Great community, but do not compare yourself to somebody else. in whatever they're doing. It will demotivate you, and it's not going to help you achieve your goals. Understand that you are unique, and our uniqueness is our superpower. So don't allow that kryptonite of the comparison trap to get near us. And last but not least, we went over 4 strategies. My challenge to you is to inspire, don't be envious. Inspire others to dream bigger, to think bigger, to achieve more. Don't be envy of their success. Don't be envious when they pass you. Be happy for them. I want to challenge you to celebrate others without diminishing yourself. I hope this episode has helped somebody today. I believe in you. Go be great. We'll talk to everyone later. Bye-bye. If you like what you're hearing, do us a favor. Click on that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up or leave a comment. That lets us know that what we are putting out benefits you. If you want additional information or resources or learn how to work with me, head on over to thejohnespinosa.com, because when we become better versions of ourselves, it helps us get others to where they're going. Go be great.